And now the news. The first Chief Minister of the Virgin Islands, the late Honorable H. Lafferty Stout, is being remembered as a nation builder 20 years after he passed away on Mother's Day in 1995. Lorna Smith served as permanent secretary to 4 chief ministers, including Chief Minister Stout. Mrs. Smith says H. Lafferty Stout is the single largest contributor to the BVI's development.
Mr. Stout was relentless in the development of our tourism industry. He gave every support to our top hotels while never forgetting the importance of our smaller properties to the economy. Today, he would be beaming with pride at the modern, elegant facility that Maria's by the Sea has become, for example. Mr. Stout welcomed investors, and he made sure the environment was right for them to thrive and prosper. With Mr. Stout at the helm, the BVI became the sailing capital not of the Caribbean, but of the world. A position that we will hopefully maintain. Recent negative themes like the invaders are coming must cause Mr. Stout to roll over in his grave. These words would never have crossed his lips. You see, he understood the importance of investment, be it from the BVI or from beyond, to getting the economy moving. Today, there are many who find it fashionable or expedient to associate themselves with the late HL. Truth be told, and this might sound harsh, for years, they secretly hoped that his contribution to this territory, in the words of Shakespeare, would be interred with his bones. As I said, this might be harsh, but in the words of the late Bob Marley, who the cap fits, let them wear it. And Honorable Foy, I'm not speaking to you. Neither am I speaking to the Honorable R.T. O'Neill, who was constantly at his side. The fact that we commemorate this birthday today with a public holiday is a powerful reminder of the strength of this community. For years, his family agitated, but they refused to be denied until it happened. Let's give them a round of applause.
H. Lafferty Stout served for over 16 years in political office and is credited with establishing the cruise ship pier, creating the Social Security Scheme, overseeing the construction of the Central Administration Building, and spearheading the development of the H. Lafferty Stout Community College named in his honor.
Mr. Stout's vision was for the BVI to become a thriving first world economy, and he pursued this vigorously with the practical wisdom he had. It's difficult to exclude an area of life that was not touched by this vision and clarity of practical wisdom. Speaking from personal experience, let me give you a flavor from whence Mr. Stout took this country. Envision BVI in 1960, a subsistence economy. Like most of the Caribbean, the population enjoyed little, if any, running water, rudimentary electricity. As a child, I certainly remember going down to Mr. Remy Smith's shop to buy kerosene oil for my family's lamps. There were few telephones, no road network to speak of, a secondary school that accommodated far under 100 students. You catch my drift. Fast forward to 1995, when Mr. Stout passed at the young age of 68. The BVI had by that time become a solid first world economy, with one of the highest per capita incomes and with all the attendant amenities. I can sum up Mr. Stout's accomplishments by juxtaposing 2 facts. He first arrived in the legislature to be sworn in on his horse, Sonny, which was the only means of transport from the country. By the 1980s, the Cadillac was Mr. Stout's vehicle of choice.
H. Lafferty Stout was at the helm throughout the territory's development as an international finance center. He is remembered as a people's person who was very passionate and committed toward the development of educational opportunities for residents.
Just ask Beverly Hodge, who was then his private secretary, and perhaps the person who knew him best professionally. How often, as his permanent secretary, I would be called in to be told by him, "Luna, I want to make a broadcast tonight." You see, Mr. Stout was a firm believer in the public's right to know what their government was doing at all times. Furthermore, often Mr. Stout spoke for all ministries to ensure a consistent message. How did Mr. Stout build this little nation we call the British Virgin Islands? 1 Corinthians asks, "For if the trumpet shall give an uncertain sound, who will prepare himself to battle?" I repeat. 1 Corinthians asks, "For if the trumpet shall give an uncertain sound, who will prepare himself to battle?" In these words, we are reminded of the essential truth that as a community, we need the clear sounds of leadership if we are to achieve great things. While we can accomplish certain feats as individuals, ultimately, if we are to be a community, a great country, then it requires the sound of clear trumpets that summon us together and drive us to higher purposes. And as we all know and we have heard, Mr. Stout always sounded the clearest of trumpets. He was a man of the people in every respect.